Are you ready to get out of the beginner stages of playing the violin and move into more intermediate playing? You have to know third position in order to do so. Staying in first position just keeps you at that beginner level, but if you allow yourself to move out and explore and learn new positions, it'll be a lot easier to be expressive and move into more intermediate to advanced music. In this video, I'll discuss how to practice shifting to third position. Hi, I'm Kaye. I help adult violinists discover impeccable technique and play with gorgeous tone. I always tell the violinists that I work with, when they're learning new positions and needing to shift to them, that they have to understand where exactly that position lives, making sure that the thumb is in its home in that specific position. This is really important because it's going to be very difficult to shift to a specific position if you don't know exactly where it lives. Just shifting and guessing is going to have you land incorrectly most of the time. However, if you know physically where the position is that you're shifting to, you'll most likely shift more in tune. So, what do I mean by this? Let me go ahead and show you the home for third position. So the first question is, where exactly does third position live on the violin? And third position lives where your third finger lives in first position, but we replace it with the one. Okay, now when I did that, I brought the whole hand up as a unit and as a team. The thumb comes up with the fingers. So it's not a matter of, okay, here's first and we're going into third. Here's first and we're shifting into third, okay? So a great way to understand where third position is to play your one on all strings. So we have G, C, D, G, A, D, and E, A. So it's a great practice just understanding where that is. And then taking your hand away and coming back and landing exactly on third position. So you can use your shoulder as a guide here to help you know, okay, yeah, that's where third position is. But you don't leave your wrist or your hand or your palm touching the shoulder of the violin when you play in third. You do allow a bit of a space, because if we play this way, it's like playing with a crutch, and we need those fingers to work independently. We also need the space to vibrate. And if you're stuck up against the shoulder, it's really going to be limiting, especially since you need to eventually work up even higher on the instrument. So if you're in third position, you're playing against the shoulder, and all of a sudden you need to shift higher, it's going to be harder. So we want to already prepare for shifting up higher when we're in third position. So I know that this video is about shifting to third, but I want to set you up for success in the long run, and that way to make sure your hand is set up properly in third position as you learn third position. I have a wonderful course, Learn Third Position, online, and it takes you through all the different finger patterns in third position, the notes on the violin, all the scales, major, minor scales, and arpeggios that you can play in third position with printable music and exercises. That is really the most complete course and collection of etudes exercises to get you going in third position. Since third position is typically the first position you learn outside of first position, it's really good to spend some time in there as your foundation. I call it kind of like the base camp of the Himalayas, because you need to understand third position really well and understand how to get to know a position outside of first position before learning all the other positions, because we have many positions to learn on the violin, and just understanding the concepts of how to learn the position is great to get those concepts down in third, and then after that it's going to be a lot easier to learn other positions. So let's get back into shifting to third position. Once you feel like you know exactly where third position lives, it's going to be a lot easier to shift to it. As you saw when I played in third position just the ones, I kept my palm facing the fingerboard. The biggest mistake I see violinists make in first position and in third position is that their palm is facing out this way. The first finger is coming down incorrectly and the hand is hitting the neck of the violin, which makes it super difficult to shift to vibrate, and just to play in general. A lot of tension there. So even when you play in third position, allow yourself to keep this alignment here of the arm. The wrist isn't pooching out. The first finger is nice on its tip. And like I mentioned before, you do have a space between your hand and the shoulder of the violin, keeping the palm facing the fingerboard. So basically how we played first, when we shift up into third, not much of a change going on here, just a change of angle here between the bicep and the forearm, okay? So when you're playing up in third, just getting those ones, take note of where the thumb lives, because when we shift from first to third, your thumb needs to come along with the hand. It's not that the fingers go, then the thumb, or the thumb goes and the fingers. They work all as a unit and as a team to move up. So there's different types of shifts. There's same finger shifts and different finger shifts. And since this may most likely be your first time shifting outside of first position, it's good to understand that there are different shifts. Same finger shifts mean that we shift on the same finger from first to third. Different finger shifts mean we're shifting from one finger to a different finger. And with the different finger shifts, there's actually different finger shifts. So we're shifting from a lower finger to a higher finger as we shift up, or we're shifting from a higher finger to a lower finger as we shift up. Then we think about shifting down. So many times when violinists learn shifting, it's like, okay, we got to shift up, but then there's complete neglect to the process of actually shifting down. So if you think about, not only are you shifting to third position, we need to be shifting out of third position. That will help you be more advanced in your shifting studies, to really think about, okay, I'm going to start here in third and shift down. Okay, so shifting from third to first and first to third. Now, you're most likely at this point watching this video, you know first position and third position. So I'd work on shifting between those two positions. Once you start learning other positions, and I wouldn't recommend that until you feel that you can read fluently in third position, then you can practice shifting in different combinations between different positions. But at this time, since third position is most likely a new territory for you, I would stick with shifting only between first and third. So the first shift I'd like you to take from this video as an exercise is actually the second finger. The reason why is because if we shift on our second finger, you see it's keeping the hand facing the fingerboard. If we shift on the one, if you have this tendency to have your hand flip out, then that's what's going to happen. So that's why I encourage you to start with the second finger so you can practice shifting with the nice, beautiful shape of the hand. Now, if you've been following me and watching my YouTube videos, you may know that I really stress the left hand setup and playing with a balanced left hand. If you have any concern that your left hand is not balanced or not set up properly, I would check out my left hand video, how to play with a balanced left hand and why it's important. Because if you start learning to shift and your left hand isn't set up properly, you are going to come into problems later. So the very, very first thing is make sure your hand is set up properly and then learn how to maneuver outside of first position once you feel confident with the setup of your left hand. So another reason that's great to start with the second finger is because of the pitch. So if we take our second finger in first position on the D string, which is F sharp, we're going to stay with high 2 for now, and shift up to a second finger in third position on the D string, that's A. So you'll be able to hear with your open A if you're in tune as you're shifting up. Keep in mind, as you're shifting, you need to have a relaxed left hand without any tension. If you have tension or it's tight, it's going to be like friction and make it really difficult to shift up. So for example, if my left hand's tight and I'm really stuck with my thumb, it's going to be really hard to shift. Okay, so if you think you may have some tension in your left hand, then check out my video, Left Hand Tension, How to Relieve Left Hand Tension, which you can find in the upper right hand corner of this video. Also, before even going into the shifting exercises, you may find my video on shifting prep exercises to be extremely helpful, just to get that motion down before even worrying about the pitches. And you can check that video out also in the upper right hand corner of this video. So after you feel your left hand is relaxed, it's set up properly, and you have checked out my prep exercises for shifting video, then we can get into this exercise. So high 2 on the D string for F sharp. We're playing a same finger shift to the second finger in third position for A. Okay, so you can play this with your open A. And you can hear when it totally locks in and you're set up really nicely on the second finger in third position. I'll show you from this side as well. So we're keeping the thumb really nice and relaxed. And as we shift, we're coming from this solid finger in first. We lightly polish the string and then we land in third. Okay, just watch as you're shifting that the knuckle here doesn't go over the tip of the finger. So we want to keep the finger nice and angled, but not that it comes over. So I've seen this happen with the shifting that it kind of like rolls over the tip, and you don't want that to ever happen. It's like the knees going over the toes in fitness. So you never want this knuckle here to go over the tip. Okay, so kind of think when you're shifting, you're staying on the inside corner of the finger, and that you keep that nice alignment between the tip and the first knuckle as you're shifting. Okay, so that's the same finger shift. You could do that on every string. And what's really great about that is this sets up our major triad. So if we played our open string, D, F sharp A, that's 1, 3, 5. And you practice that with a double stop of open D and A, F sharp and A, which is the third, and then the fifth degree of that triad, A and A. So it's a great exercise to just help you encourage this beautiful left hand moving from first to third. Now, I mentioned previously, we don't want to only think about shifting out of first and going into third. We want to think about shifting from third back into first. So we'll start up here in third to that F sharp. Now as we shift down, the same thing. We shift down as a unit. It's not that our thumb goes and then the hand goes. We actually shift all together. So the thumb, the finger, the hand. So you see that. It just moves all together. This is why the thumb needs to be really nice and relaxed, just kind of like polishing the neck. And also the finger, as we lift it, while it's shifting, it also needs to just kind of like polish the string. Otherwise, again, that friction is going to make it very difficult to shift well. So also keep in mind the angle here. So you can just get that visual of how this works. So third position, first position. Feel that physically, how that feels in this area as well as you're shifting. That's going to help to make sure that everybody's moving as a team and a unit as you're shifting down. So I would practice on every single string, just the second finger first, and then I'd go into the third finger. So you can hear our third finger in first position, and then our third finger in third position is going to be our first finger in first position. So I know I said that pretty quick, but our third finger in third is our first finger in first. Now, when you're doing these exercises, if you're not working with a book or seeing the notes on the page, it's super, super important that you visualize the notes on the staff to help you make the association of this new finger on that note. So for this example, we're talking about B, the note B. And the note B in first position is played with first finger, but in third position, it's played with 3. So if up until this point you've been only thinking numbers, it's going to be super, super difficult to learn a new position. You really kind of need to back up and start really associating to the pitch names, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, or Si, Do, depending on where you live in the world. And understand that that pitch can be played with different fingers. So when you're doing these shifting exercises, if you're doing them without notes on the page, do be sure to visualize the notes on the staff as you play it. So let's return to this exercise. Third finger, same finger shift. So we're going to go from D, G, B. And so D, G, B. Now when you shift up, this third finger needs to be on its inside corner again. Not that it's like this, okay? Really important, it's on the inside corner. And as it's cruising on up, it stays on that inside corner. That's super, super important. Okay, so since this may be a new note for you, you can even take your left hand away, come, land in third, feel solid that you're in third, and then just check and play that note again. Okay, so that's also a good test to know that you truly know where that note lives before you shift to it, because if you don't know where the note lives and you're just shifting away, 99.9% of the time you'll be inaccurate. So this is a great formula for you to get started and to practice your same finger shifts in third position, going from first to third, and then being sure to practice from third back down into first. I demonstrated the second and third finger, but I'd like you to go ahead and do the fourth and the first finger. If you're needing help with the notes on the page and the names of the notes, I would really, truly suggest taking a peek at my Learn Third Position online course, where I walk you through super detailed exercises of learning third position and becoming fluent in reading third position, how to incorporate third position in your daily practice sessions, and with what materials, with scales, arpeggios, etudes, and all original exercises and compositions written by myself in Learn Third Position online. I'll leave a link here in the description below, and also on the end screen of this video in the lower right hand corner, you can click to enroll in the course. Have fun practicing your third position. Ciao!